What's up, guys? It's a Philly special. Everyone taking the over. You're wrong. I see the comments before. We're barely late, but beat the 9:38 time. We'll just say that. So, what's up? How's it going?
I'll take the blame for that. I was a little behind schedule. All right, so it's on me this time.
Well, okay, but they're smart enough to realize there's a common denominator. So I appreciate you trying to fall on the sword, but I can't let you do that.
I'm trying.
At least I'm here. I'll just say that. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We appreciate it. Make sure to drop a like. Tons of giveaways tonight. We got the Dallas Goedert signed rookie card. We do need a giveaway because we did not hear back from Leanwood Liddy. Liddy, I don't know where you are, but I'm here, and that's a win compared to this past weekend because I couldn't get a flight to save my life to get out there to the Eagles Autism Challenge, but. I guess that's how things go sometimes. But you were there, Anthony, so that was a blast. I was living vicariously through you.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been a lot better if you were able to make it, but tried to make the most of it. I mean, that was kind of out of your control, so you shouldn't feel too bad about that. I mean, you tried to finagle your way and take 7 different flights to get there, but it wasn't in the cards. So, yeah, I was there. It was a lot of fun. Definitely a lot more like family and kid friendly than I expected, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, definitely I spoke to you afterwards. I said that it might be a good idea to like take both of us take our kids next year and make like a whole family trip, but we'll see. Maybe that's something we could look forward to.
Yes, that it did look good. I also had I was trying to find the video or the pictures from it. Here we go. I think I can share this so for those people that were in attendance, it was a blast, like Anthony. For people that just saw videos and clips and everything else, over $10 million and counting. So, by the way, you can still donate. It's all the way through the end of this month. So, still taking donations, $10 million and counting. I mean, that's a crazy number, but for such a fantastic cause, they reached out. Like you said, I tried to, briefly, it was going to be a flight to San Diego, and then back to Philly. I don't know why I had to jump on a San Diego to Philly, but it canceled before. I guess thankfully it canceled before it went to San Diego, and then it didn't. But I don't know. It is what it is. But
that would have been really bad if you went all the way to San Diego.
Stuck in San Diego.
Actually, that would have been. Oh man, I would have felt really bad.
But it looked like a good time. It was incredible. Like I say, for a great cause. $10 million. Thank you to those that supported. We saw lots of people, lots of you in the chat now as well, kind of reached out individually. But for those that did support, did donate to the cause, whether it was to our team or just the donations in general. So very much appreciated. I will say, as we're talking about, some funds there and $10 million, nobody knows for sure what Nick Sirianni's contract extension is because it seems a little bit odd that they're keeping it under wraps. Sirianni's got the extension, so congrats to him. I don't know how many years or for what amount, but yeah, they locked him up.
I mean, that feels like that stuff, especially like with either coaches or like front office executives, that stuff rarely comes out. Like you don't really see that unless it's like one of these new hot hires, like a Ben Johnson was, where the agent just wants to be like, he's the highest paid. And even then, you don't usually get like a specific number. It's more of just like they're the highest paid, or like even with the Vic Fangio thing, that kind of came out through like somebody that probably didn't even realize that they were putting out information that's not really out there already. Because if you look at like the NFL players, we get everything down to like the dates that certain options trigger and the dates, like the incentives. And like, meanwhile, with the front office, like executives and the coaches, you don't really hear anything. There's no website that you can go look up and say, this guy's getting this amount, this guy's getting, like, you just don't see that stuff. So I'm not surprised that like the details for Nick Sirianni's contract haven't come out, but I think, let's just say I think he's doing a little bit better than he was before, because I think he was towards the bottom 10 or something like that beforehand. And I think he's got to at least be in the top 10 or so, I would assume.
It only seems to, Super Bowl, you figure a little bit more. John, you're saying they added a weekly cheesesteak to his contract. It's got to be a little bit more than that, John. Not that, nothing wrong with a cheesesteak. Nothing wrong with a cheesesteak from John's Roast Pork, which is where you had. I did not.
I was going to say, looking back at this past weekend, that might be the most disappointed I am that you weren't able to fly in. I was really looking forward to you finally trying John's roast pork, but it
I was
obviously didn't happen.
That
But
is a big bummer. That might be the biggest loss for me of the entire weekend because yeah, I was also looking forward to trying it out. But next time, as we say, next time
if you don't mind, can I
can do
dive a
that
little bit more into
for
the
sure.
Eagles autism
Yeah, yeah,
challenge?
absolutely.
So like just for anybody that's looking forward to going, or this was my first time ever participating in it, but I did the 5K run slash walk, and it was just so cool because like you're first of all you line up and they have like the start line where it's like the bike riders go first. They have a couple different. Then they have like the longer type of run that goes before that, and then finally the 5K goes, and it's kind of like a mix of like advanced runners I would want to say, and then like you just have like families or you have older people or just guys like me that were just by themselves, like just a good mix of people moving at their own pace. So, but it was just so weird because like I'm walking and I look over and it's like Jeff Stoutland and his family, and then it's like, oh, Will Shipley is right there signing autographs for kids, just walking with everybody else, and I walked alongside Trevor Keegan for no joke, like half a mile, and we're just talking. And I'm like, oh, how does it feel going into year two? Like, he was like, I didn't really tweet about any of this stuff, so this is kind of exclusive to everybody here. But he was like, he kind of appreciated the fact that he had basically a whole year to learn and kind of take a step back. And he also like joked around that he didn't realize that only 7 or 8 offensive linemen dress in the NFL. He thought he like in college pretty much everybody dresses and there's not really
Mm-hmm.
that kind of limit. So that kind of like took him by surprise. Another thing he talked about was how he wishes he had a year in the building with Jason Kelsey because he would just love to see how he works and how he prepares and like in the meetings and things like that. He said whenever Kelsey, because I asked him, I'm like, oh, isn't Jason Kelsey's like, doesn't he show up at the facility quite a bit and he's still around the team? He's like, yeah, he's there, but at the same time, like he doesn't want to be too much of a bother. But he's like, I also try and ask him a question whenever I do see him. So he probably is a little bit annoyed by him at this point, is what he said. But at the same time, I was trying to explain to him like they'd rather have somebody like that asks him a little bit too many questions than somebody that doesn't seem interested. And then we kind of reached the midway point, which is where they had all the rookies besides Jihaad Campbell and Kyle McCord, and but they were all stationed at like that midway point at like a water station, handing out waters, and so that was really cool too because it was a way for the fans to kind of interact with the players there. And then, like I said, then you get at the finishes at the stadium where they have basically this whole festival set up with a bunch of different sponsors. They had like blow up rides for like the kids and a whole like park kind of thing set up for kids as well. A whole stage set up with a live band. Uh, like all different kinds of sponsors had little stands set up where they were either giving out things for free or you can sign up and get things for free. It was just a really cool experience, and I definitely recommend if anybody can afford to do so. Like I said, it's going towards a good cause, so I would definitely recommend doing so if you can't. And then in August they should have the whole public practice, which is another great event where that's significantly cheaper because it's only I think $10 something like that per person, and that also goes towards the Eagles Autism Foundation. But yeah, two really cool events that if you can't really shell out the money to pay for these tickets as they get more and more expensive, or if you don't win it from one of Josh's giveaways, so those two events would definitely be something to check out.
Pretty legit. Seeing the pictures, I was also bummed for multiple reasons, but a couple other photos that we did have to bring up. People I think saw this on a video. If you're following Anthony at DeBone NFL, you see it there. But that's Anthony taking a photo with the next head coach of the New York Giants. There you go, Kevin Patullo. For people not getting the reference, but I mean, like if you're an offensive coordinator for the Eagles, the odds are pretty good that you land a head coach job. How much longer is Brian Daboll at the Giants? We'll see. I do love that you captioned that and posted it on Twitter, and people appreciate that one quite a bit. You got several different photos, quite honestly.
Yeah, it was like I said at the beginning when I met Vic Fangio, and that only happened because I actually went back to my car to like I forget what I went back there for, probably like a drink or something like that. But then I'm coming back and like the players and the coaches and even the alumni that were there, they have like these special kind of shirts or jerseys, whatever you want to call them, where it had their name and either their number if they were a player or if it was a coach. I think it was just 25 for the year. And I was like, that says Fangio. Wait a second. And like walked right over to him. He was already taking pictures with some other people. So I just grabbed a quick picture, shook his hand, and then he was on his way. But like I said, it was so unique because they blend in with the crowd and with the participants. So you don't really feel like you're kind of bothering them in any way because this is what they're essentially doing when they sign up for this event. But even when I got there at like 7 in the morning initially, I saw Bobby King. He was part of the linebacker coach. He was part of
Mm-hmm.
the bike riding part of the event, and just I saw a guy with King 25 on his jersey. I'm like, that's Bobby King. He's just riding around like I guess testing his bike out or whatever. It was just such a
That's
unique event.
wild.
And like I said, it was so cool. So definitely, like I said, something that people should check out.
There we go. With the Godfather himself, Vic Fangio. Not a bad picture. Um, my favorite, I'll just do this and then before we move on. My favorite might be that one there. For people that are not as aware, you can see it from Anthony's little caption, but the Vanilla Gorilla got a picture with the man himself, Ty Robinson, embracing the name. It sounds like embracing the nickname.
Yeah, so I grabbed the picture with him, and I was right away. I was like, "What do you think about the Vanilla Gorilla nickname?" And he was like, "Hey, it's something that's kind of stuck around with me for a while now, and he's just embracing it." So it's not like I mentioned it when I tweeted it out that it was an NIL deal that he had where he was selling shirts and merch that was licensed with his name on it. So it's not anything new to him, new to Philadelphia. So he seems like he laughed it off. He seemed to like it. So I think it'll be sticking around. And that guy is massive. I mean, a lot of these NFL players, you don't realize how big they are until you're standing next to them. And I'm relatively big. I'm 6'2", like 220 or so. And I was standing next to some of these guys. I was even like walking next to Trevor Keegan. I was like, these guys are just different athletes. And I saw guys like Jordan Milada and things like that from a distance. But when you're up close next to these guys, it's absurd. It really puts things into perspective how freakishly athletic some of these guys are.
It's crazy. Kind of dwarfed by somebody, but you know, good for him. Awesome cause, as we said. Actually, being able to be in person and get the interaction too. I think that's the coolest part. So great time there. We should have a couple super chats real quick that I'll get to. Josh H with a 5. Appreciate that, Josh. Said, one fun fact I like, Sirianni owns John Runyon's old house. I tracked that house on Zillow for years while it was on sale. All right.
Interesting.
Snooping around. We know where some
A little,
people know where Sirianni lives.
little cool, little creepy, but hey, it's
Good for you, sir. I would not have that info, have that knowledge. But, hey, if it goes up on sale for Zillow, all bets are off. Spilled milk with a 2. Nakobe Dean had no knee brace with the eye emojis. Yes. I also saw that he accepted the invite to Devontae Smith's celebrity softball tournament or game. I don't know. I'm not going to say that it's nothing, but at the same time, Sidney Brown did play in it, or I think he participated in the home run derby, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he played. I can't remember that now off the top of my head, but it wouldn't be out of the ordinary, out of the question to say, okay, he's accepting it. He'll be there, make an appearance, maybe do a little bit. But, I mean, it's a celebrity softball. Like, nobody's flying around making plays except for Zay. Zay last year was, like, moving. And
he
won the home run
MVP.
derby. He was trying to win the MVP. So there's a few. But, I mean, the vast majority are just out there to, make the appearance, sign some autographs, interact with fans, a good cause, raise some money. So I don't want to just totally knock it, but yeah, fine. Hey, he's rehabbing, he's continuing to, and we'll see. I think that the odds based on it, we've talked about this a couple different times, the odds based on previous injuries of a torn patellar tendon and what that looks like is against Nakobe returning by the start of the season. But, I guess never say never because Nakobe's proven people wrong before. So maybe so. But yeah, at least a positive sign.
Yeah, I would be shocked if he wasn't on the pup to start the year, though, because I feel like that would be the best way for them to kind of navigate the roster, too, where they don't really have to cut maybe a guy like Cameron Williams or one of these other like later round rookies, Antwaun powell-ryland. It kind of frees up an extra spot. They can wait a couple weeks, see if anybody else gets hurt or things like that to put them on IR, and then it just becomes a chess game playing and manipulating the roster. And nobody really does it better than Howie Roseman as far as sneaking guys on injured reserve with those phantom injuries But obviously with Nakobe Dean, there's no need to rush him back, especially with a guy like Jihaad Campbell waiting. Now we'll also see what happens with him with his injury as well. But like I said, it's just they're going to take things slow like they did with Cooper DeJean. I think in that regard, there's no need to rush Campbell either. But then in the meantime, they'll have to figure out things at linebacker. But just for the first 4 weeks or so, however long it takes, I think they'll be just fine to get through that.
There we go. Got some people actually not aware that you were Rome says, I knew Josh was a big dude, but didn't know Ant-Man was 6'2". Now you know.
I mean, maybe it's 6'1". My license says 6'2", so I'll go with 6'2". But hey,
I take it. It's 6'2".
Josh,
Yeah.
Josh is over there at 6'4", 230, whatever he's pushing as
Well,
wide receiver two
you're giving
for the
me a couple
Eagles.
inches and a little bit more, but okay. 6'3". Let's not go crazy there. You added about 15 pounds to me as well. So
Oh, sorry about
yeah,
that.
we're in training season. You know, you gotta slim up a little bit.
I'm trying to catch you. I got work to do.
Appreciate those comments. It always happens. It's good stuff. Let's see. Who's the other? Oh, yes. As far as people, no questions, giveaways. We are gonna do that. Probably in, I don't know, like top of the hour, 10 Eastern. We'll do the Goedert card. So, and people, it will be for people on the live stream. So just, I mean, heads up, like this will be someone who's present. We have to give this thing away. Now for the tickets to Eagles Cowboys, we'll spend for that. Somebody will have an opportunity to claim it. And if they don't, then it'll end up going back to the live stream. You never know. I've been amazed sometimes with things that people don't claim, and then all of a sudden we're coming back to the live stream. So we got the Goedert card first, but just stay tuned.
It's right here.
You got it? Sweet.
I'm waiting. I'm waiting to ship it out. Nobody wanted it the first time. So.
Some people, I'm telling you, some people will want that thing. Got a lot of comments the first time, but Lean with Liddy did not want that. So.
And based on how many people entered that first time, I've got a whole lot more cards that I'll be willing to give away if people are interested. So,
hey now, stay tuned for that. Tracy finally caught alive. What's up? How's everybody doing? Olivia, we've not done the game tickets yet, so you're not missing out. There's a chance. I'll spin for that in a little bit. There's a couple different areas that we could go into, though. Talking about Eagles news and, catching people up to date and thoughts and everything else. The thumbnail is the tush push. That is kind of the overplayed topic, the one that's been brought up quite a bit, but it's also the one that we're, very close to. I think the reports are that it's tomorrow, Wednesday. You get the vote for the tush push. And we'll see where it lies. It's probably going to be removed from speculation, the rumors, where it's headed. I don't know. You have other thoughts on that, but
I just can't wait to get that alert on Twitter and where it says the tush push has been banned. Blah blah blah. Just move on, because it just seems like this has been such a drawn out process. The second that they tabled it the first time, when the reported vote came out as a split vote, and now they've magically got enough votes. It's just clear that Roger Goodell didn't want this play. The NFL didn't want this play, and that they're doing something under the table to. I've seen all sorts of conspiracy theories about how they're doing it, but I mean, the tush push is gone. That's what I would assume. I would be shocked if it wasn't. But guess what? The Eagles are still going to be super aggressive in short yardage situations. They're still going to be super effective in short yardage situations. They were elite before they started using the tush push, when it was Carson Wentz or Jalen Hurts is running the traditional quarterback sneak. And Jordan Milada said it himself. He said, so we're just going to do it without the pushing. Like, that's literally all that changes. A.J. Brown was saying how it's still just 1 yard. Like, these guys don't care. They're still elite athletes. They still have all of the personnel necessary. They have the best offensive line in football. They're going to be just fine in these situations, tush push or not. I mean, if the NFL doesn't realize that, so be it. But they're going to take this play away, only give Eagles fans even more fuel to the fire of how everybody hates them and they don't care. And it's going to be beautiful to see them still be effective on short yardage situations.
I love it. Exactly what you're saying. The fact that they're turning them into, however you want to phrase it. I mean, they're turning them into a nightmare. They're turning them into a problem. It's only going to irritate, because I've seen people on social media making a point of this too. And it's like, look, you got grown men playing a violent sport, knowing that it's a violent sport, or used to be. I don't know. Depends on how long we go and how long it'll actually continue to be that. But a violent sport, and they're whining about the fact that they're not as good as one team. I mean, you could say two, because some people throw out the Bills out there, but like one team, and they're complaining about it to literally get it banned. So, it is what it is. I am also with you, though. It's like that they're going to be fine short yardage situation. They're going to be okay. They're going to convert who knows? It may be better. It may be better. Like you mentioned with the 2001 was the 92.9%. I mean that would be a better conversion rate than you had even with the tush push. So sure, if it's that, like they're it's going to be more than okay. But the fact that everybody continues to bring it up and it's all the speculation and Roger Goodell postponed it, like yeah, the writing was already on the wall. But I'm with you as well as a lot of people in the chat too, saying like once this thing moves on, we'll be good. Honestly, if anything, I think that it's the fact of some of the other potential changes or the rules, the proposals there, like the playoff change, the fact that you would have potential of if it gets passed, but the seedings and how that would work. So division winners don't really mean as much. Like I get the whole record, and for people I guess that are not as fully aware up to date on this, covered it in the last video, but basically Detroit Lions proposed that it's going to be playoff seeding based on record, and the only, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only thing that it's really a benefit of like, hey, congrats, you won your division, is a tiebreaker. Like if you have the same record of some other team, then and you're a division winner, then you would trump the other squad, the other team. But besides that, it's like what do we do? Do we even need divisions at this point?
Well, I was very against this when I first initially saw it. I was like, oh, this just makes divisions useless, like whatever. But then, so division winners are still guaranteed a playoff spot. It's just they're not guaranteed a top 4 spot. So they're not guaranteed a home game. But what I also like about it, and Denise Selman from PHLY had spoke about this also. He was like, the fact that it would make teams like, say, Houston or even the Eagles and other teams in recent years where they already had certain spots clinched or they couldn't improve or anything like that. And with Houston in particular, their division was just so bad that they didn't have to play anybody in week 18, where now they would still have to play because now they're trying to play for a home game. They're not guaranteed a home game anymore. So this kind of makes those week 17 and week 18 games a little bit more meaningful for those teams that might already have their division wrapped up where they only have 9 or 10 wins. So now they have to try and win and get to 11 or 12 wins to get a home playoff game. They're not just handed a home playoff game because they won a crappy division. So I actually kind of like it. And if you think about it, basketball does the same thing where it's just ranked by record. It doesn't matter if you won your division or not. If you were the 6th worst team in the league and you won your divisions, you're still the 6th team in the standing. So we're not reaching the point yet where there's like a play-in tournament or anything like that. But I do like the fact that, because honestly, the NFC East could be kind of like the NFC North last season, where you have 2 or 3 teams that have 11, 12 wins where they should be getting a home playoff game, where if this rule goes into effect, that might be the case for the Eagles, where say Washington or Dallas wins the division and the Eagles have 11 or 12 wins and they would have had to go on the road. Now maybe they're hosting a team like the Falcons or the Buccaneers that wins kind of a weaker division like the NFC South. So it just could benefit the Eagles in a way too.
That's interesting. I hadn't fully thought of it like that. It does make some sense. I don't know. Maybe there's just like resistance to some change, or the fact that it's a little bit more difficult sometimes. Of like, okay, it's been that way for forever, but like I could see some of the positive. I know the NFL, obviously, it's like, oh, just the monetary value is the first and foremost, which is basically everything. But like, okay, if it's a little bit more excitement, to your point, like you're saying with the Texans, okay, I don't hate it as much, but I don't know that I'm fully on board yet. So,
I mean, I get it though, because like when you win a division, say you clinch a division in like week 16, before you would like get the shirts and you're like, all right, we guaranteed a home playoff game. You don't have to worry about those next 2 weeks. Now it's like you really can't celebrate unless you have a wide margin of wins over these other teams. So I 100%, I'm a little bit of like a sports traditionalist in like certain areas, but this one I could actually kind of get behind, because in my opinion, if you win a division with 8 or 9 wins, I could understand other teams being like, that shouldn't be rewarded. If another team in a tougher division has more wins than that, and now they have to go play that Seattle team back in the day. I mean, granted, it kind of worked out for them, but like they had barely any wins squeaking to the playoffs, but they made some noise. But I don't know. There's arguments on both sides, but I could definitely see the NFL, especially with them adding more games and wanting things to be competitive for as long as possible, except for the tush push apparently. But
they don't want that.
I could see them wanting these more meaningful games later on in the season, because now it makes like flex scheduling more important, where they can get these games on prime time that normally wouldn't have meaning Now they have meaning. You're getting these bigger names on TV, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I can see it both ways, but it's interesting. And it is the double standard, as you called out there, because they're about some competition, not all competition, because if it's the tush push, as we know, we're not going to go back down that route, I think. Josh B, shout out to you, to the Let's Run It, I believe. I think that's maybe a re-up, but I could be wrong. Congrats to you. Also, Anthony Giovanelli says, where did Anthony get his hat? My autistic nephew loves the Fanatic and would love that hat.
I believe I got it on New Era's website. I'm going to try and find it right now and then send the link in the chat if I can.
There we go. Sweet. While Anthony is doing that, by the way, once you find it, maybe postpone for a split second, because I'm about to probably spam the chat here for a second, because we're going to do the giveaway.
You're good.
I mentioned
I'll hold off. I'm just trying to find it.
Okay, all right.
In the meantime.
So while Anthony's doing that, this is the time, if you're in the chat and if you're hanging out in the live stream, so don't leave, if you want a chance to win the signed Dallas Goedert card, because Linwood Liddy did not ever get back to us. So, Liddy, sorry about you. We're giving this thing away. All you need to do is comment DG. I did that in the last video, but unfortunately, Liddy did not claim. So in this live stream, one time, one comment. Do not do it multiple times. If you do it multiple times, it's probably going to kick you out. I usually filter out duplicate entries, so sorry about you. DG, that's all you got to do. You comment that, you're entered, you're good to go. And then we will spin for the live stream entries for the 320 some odd individuals in this stream to win the signed Dallas Goedert rookie card that Anthony will be shipping out.
Yes. Sorry. I'm really trying to find this hat.
You're good. It's always like the links like that, which, I don't mind sharing with people because I have the same thing, but someone's like, hey, where'd you get that shirt? That usually seems to be the regular occurrence for mine. And I'm so bad about it because it's like half the time, Alex, yes, it's a rookie card, signed rookie card for Dallas Goedert. But I'm so bad about it because I'm like, I think it was maybe, Fanatics, or maybe it was a different site, and I usually can't find the link. So I should probably start saving it there. Maybe. Let's see. As we're waiting on more comments for the DG, we got a lot of them so far, but keep them coming. Probably spin here in the next couple minutes.
Can people see my camera or not? I don't know if you have me on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, they can see it.
The Dallas Goedert Optic Bronze Rookie. It's not numbered, but the autograph is on card. It's not a sticker. So,
hey now,
nice card. Yeah. See if that's...
Quite a bit.
There you go.
The case. Oh, even better. Yes, sir.
Beautiful card. Beautiful. They don't really make them like this anymore. Cards are getting a little. Not the best.
Yeah, but that's why we're giving this one away. Kudos to you. Eagle One member for 18 months. Breed of One. Matt said Josh FYI booked Monday in November for the game. Booked. Is that booked Sunday, Monday? Sorry, Matt. I'm probably misreading it. I'm not sure. I did book the trip. So for you wondering, for anybody wondering, I'm going to be at the Packers game. I'm going to be in Green Bay.
Oh.
And I'm going to be on the side of the Packers sideline. So I'll get to yell at Matt LaFleur, and if Mark Murphy ventures on down, and if we ever try to, troll somebody on a tush push fake or, line people up there. But yes, I'll be there. I have to double check which I think it's 124. Which one are you, Matt? I think you said you're like 128, or are you 124? I think it's like 4 sections off. Also, Matt, with the 10 Philly Special Show memberships. Thank you for that, man.
It's like found the hat, by the way. So,
okay, good.
Whenever we're done with the giveaway.
Once we're done with the DG, the DG comments.
It's on MLB Shop, by the way, not New Era.
Oh, okay.
It is a New Era hat, but it's not on New Era's website.
It's pretty legit. 10 individuals though got those memberships. Congrats to you guys. Christopher with a 5 says, join a little late, Percentage chance. Okay. Well, here we go. We'll talk about this. Then we'll do the spin.
Oh,
Percentage chance we trade for Jalen Ramsey. If not, do we make a trade or sign a veteran defensive back who also go team babyface?
so I'll just jump in here with the Jalen Ramsey nonsense because I think that's what it is. I think we haven't really seen anybody credible kind of talk about that rumor at all, and it's always very convenient for anybody, any agent that's trying to drive up a market to mention the Eagles because Howie Roseman himself has said that he'll always check on any player just because he doesn't want to find out that a player got traded and then realize that they were available and that he didn't know about it. So I'm sure the Eagles have called about Jalen Ramsey, but at the same time, if they were going to pay a cornerback or a defensive back significant money, they would have kept a guy like Darius Slay or they would have kept Isaiah Rodgers. Like clearly they were trying to trim their spending in that regard because they had these other extensions coming up. And I just can't see them trading for a guy like Jalen Ramsey when there were comments made by Ramsey when Vic Fangio left Miami, and they're in a pretty good situation at cornerback, depending on how they feel about Kelee Ringo and Adoree Jackson as the second outside corner. But I personally think they're in good shape there, and I just don't see how Jalen Ramsey would be much of a good fit, both personality-wise, given what he said about Vic Fangio, and also salary-wise, because the Eagles just don't want to take on a contract like that at this point. So I think it's all nonsense. I think it's just people trying to, they know when they tweet the Eagles and link the Eagles to a player that it's going to drive engagement. It's going to be a topic on social media, and people are going to click your videos on YouTube, but that doesn't necessarily equate to being valid and a real thing at the end of the day. So I personally don't think there's any validity to it, but that's just my 2 cents.
I agree. Yeah. But we talked about it before, but it's like, yeah, it's percentage chance of a trade, like nothing 0%. We know we won't say 0 because we've seen what happens whenever you say 0%. But
who said that?
Like I don't know. Somebody did. Freezing cold takes. Somebody did. I think it's like a 5% chance. You know, maybe I'll just put it at 5% chance. Like I'm also with you because, and I think that the Eagles have been very, how would we phrase this? Very, I don't know, very intentional with the way that they're building this locker room culture, the vibe of this team, who's going to be their plays that they're or you know, snaps that are going to get played, things like that. I don't know. Like Jalen Ramsey, could he be? Is he a good player? Sure. Could he make an impact? Yeah. But it's also to the point of, like you said, not necessarily the best relationship with Fangio, right? And if it's a little bit if and it's a big if, but if it becomes about him, then it's like, yeah, maybe it's not worth it. And they moved on from C.J. Gardner-Johnson for some reasons. Okay. And we've basically read between the lines and the reasons of the trades and everything else. So not breaking any news, but like it wasn't all just because of, hey, Kenyon Green, let's, you know, that's a great straight up trade. Let's just go ahead and do that, right? Talent level and all this. So there's more than meets the eye there. If they're willing to move on from that, it kind of also tells me like they're going to be extremely selective, no matter if it's a really good player or how you feel about them. So again, I'm with you personally. 5% chance. I mean, I'll throw that out there. Veteran defensive back, like I wouldn't rule anything out because Howie does make moves, but at the same time, I think that Adoree Jackson is just like forgotten a decent amount whenever we start talking about the secondary or defensive backs or cornerbacks of who it's going to be. Now, Justin Simmons is the other guy that we could throw out there and continues to. That one feels more likely, but even still, like percentage-wise, it's not a 5%, but it's not 100%. It's not 90%. Like if I said Justin Simmons 40% right now, 35, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of been on the, like, Justin Simmons is a fit, like, on the field, obviously, in terms of he knows Vic Fangio's scheme and he would bring some, like, veteran leadership to that safety room. But at the same time, he signed for a $7.5 million fully guaranteed last offseason in the middle of August. So if he's looking for that type of money, I just don't see the Eagles handing him that type of payday. But if he wants to play for half of that with even less than that guarantee, then Philadelphia could be his home. But he's basically blasted it out there. We've talked about it a bunch of times that he's essentially begging to come to Philadelphia and be on the Eagles. But
yeah,
he's basically done everything except literally like beg for it. But yeah, it's just, I don't know if they want to go that direction. I don't know if they just want to see what these younger guys have. I've mentioned how Reed Blankenship is obviously going into a contract year, but they've invested relatively high picks in Sidney Brown and Drew Mukuba They have a bunch of other younger guys that they probably want to see in training camp and preseason, see what they can do. So now if you have an older safety whose best days are behind him, kind of taking snaps and reps from those guys, is that really the situation that they want to be in? I know the name sounds great, former All-Pro, but didn't have the best season last year. It's not like you're going to get him and he's going to magically return to the player that he was when he was 26 or 27 years old. Like that's what the Eagles haven't done, is they're not really paying guys for what they've done in the past. Even Dallas Goedert had to take a pay cut to stick around. So I don't know if they're necessarily lining up to throw a ton of money at Justin Simmons.
I'm right there with you, which is why it's less than 50%. So, and it ebbs and flows depending on the timing. Okay, I'm gonna spin for this now because we got lots of messages. I know people hanging around, so do not leave. You got to be present to claim this thing. And if the person who wins it does not claim it on this spin here in a second, then I'm gonna spin again. Like we're not gonna take forever as we've done before. I think people know the drill. Okay, let's make sure I can share this here for people. And good luck all. Here we go. Who's it gonna be? The winner is Josiah Gingrich, I believe would be that pronunciation for the last name. Josiah, congratulations. Come on down. You win with the DG comment. Hopefully you were here. Just comment back in the chat. It's amazing. 3 comments in, someone's like, they left. Did they? Did they really leave?
That's always the best part about this, is just how quickly people rule out the others. It's the best.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they said that I could have it. They said send it to me. Josiah, you just got to be here, man. Just comment back, say I'm here, it's me. Let's go. Anything. Just got to see your profile in the chat. If not, I will spin it again. So people stay tuned here. If he does not claim it, it has happened before. So we'll give just a little bit because there is a delay, and especially depending on where people are watching from, the delay is much longer. But I'm looking at the chat here. I've not seen a Josiah Gingrich yet. Somebody's like, clock's ticking, bud.
This is just that TikTok algorithm stuff. That people can't keep their focus from more than, I guess, a couple seconds.
I mean, for real,
off a video.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
I know we got a little bit off on a tangent of talking about the cornerback, but it couldn't have been more than 5 minutes. Danielle, DG, my initials. Josiah, man, you're getting close here. I'm gonna have to spin it here in a second. If I don't hear from you, you think we should? We don't know anymore. All right.
I mean, this is.
I mean that's a fair heads up, right? I mean, James, I'm his brother, Josiah Gingrich. I highly doubt that. I don't know why the last names would be different. Okay. I'm going to have to. We gave enough time. People claiming that it's them after changing their name. That's not you. So, all right. Unfortunately, Josiah left. They're gone. I'm doing it in 3, 2, 1. No Josiah. Bummer. Okay. Here we go. Second person. Who's it going to be? Spin again. It is Christian Fuentes, I believe. Christian, please come on down or comment in the chat. I'm wondering how many times we might have to do this.
What's the record? We got to keep track of this stuff.
I think it's been 3, if I'm not mistaken. I think we've had to go to a third person before. I think that's the most. Everybody, by the way, you don't have to comment DG again. It keeps your comment. So, like, I see some DG comments. It's already got it. But there's Christian. He is here. Okay.
He's here.
Woo! Let's go. All right. I'm glad. Christian.
This is yours.
You're going to get it.
There you go.
The Dallas Goedert card is yours. Congratulations. There's multiple ways here, but you could email thephillyspecialshow@gmail.com, or you could reach out on social, DM either of us, mine, the PHI Special, or Anthony at Debona NFL. So if you want to do that, that works. However you want to, though. Just get a hold of us, contact us, reach out, and then we will get your info, verify, confirm it's you, and ship out the card. So congratulations. You got it.
Yeah, if you have Twitter, it probably makes the most sense to just reach out to me because I'm going to be the one shipping it out to kind of make things lessen Josh's burden a little bit. So if you do have Twitter, just shoot me a DM with your address, and I'll ship it out first thing tomorrow morning. Actually.
Okay. There you go. Let's see here. We've got, and by the way, we're gonna do the other giveaway, which will be a little bit later, but it will be for the Eagles home opener. So I know that other people were asking or wondering, was that for the home opener? No, not yet. Maybe in like 15 minutes or so. You don't have to be present to win on that one. I'll give you some time, but there we go. Thank you again, sir, for that. Very much appreciated. People
No
love
problem.
the
There's more on the
card.
way.
Couple super chats. John in with a 5. Wanted to meet you guys in Green Bay, but my son wants to go to a home game. That is one smart kid. I don't blame him. That's fair.
Nothing like being in the link, man.
That is true. Question is, what game? If you could choose, which game to go to. I mean, is it a given? Like you go to the opener, the Cowboys, the banner, seeing the Cowboys there, beat them on opening night. Is that the automatic?
That's gonna be special, just because, like you said, obviously, like raising the banner, you can't really, because even if the outcome of the game isn't the way that you wanted, or if they lose, then like the fact that you were there for them to raise the banner, that's always going to be a special moment. But I don't know, there are some better matchups as far as like actual teams that they play, that I might want to. And I don't know, I've always preferred a cold football game, a little bit later, not freezing. I don't want no snowball or anything like that, but I do prefer a little bit of a chill in the air. I know that can happen in September, but November, December, those games get a little crazy.
My wife is the opposite, but I'm with you. Like, yeah, there's just something about football weather, which could get us off on a tangent completely. You know, like the Eagles, and are they going to build a stadium? Will it be retractable dome and all the other stuff? But yeah, I
Wait, I forgot who asked for the hat, but I am gonna send the link.
Yes, we're putting
chat.
it down there.
I'll send that now.
Sweet.
Sorry.
Okay. Kramer, member for 5 months, really late tonight. Sorry, Green Bay is probably the game. Okay, so for the game that they would go to, even though that Green Bay's technically in, Green Bay's in Green Bay, but that's the game that they would choose. So I can't knock it.
But the real question is, are you going to park on somebody's lawn at Green Bay, or are you going to Uber? Uber somewhere?
If I had a vehicle there, I probably would. I feel like the Uber is the play.
That's just
you
so
don't
cool.
know what's going to happen parking on somebody's lawn like that, but
it's so crazy that there's just a stadium in the middle of like a small town, and you're just walking down to it's like basically in somebody's backyard. It's so
I can only imagine, because I've never been there, but I can only imagine it's got to feel somewhat like a college town, right? Because if you go to a college game, I mean, I've been to multiple like that, different colleges, universities that are more so in the city, and then you do park in someone's yard or like on the street and stuff like that. But for an NFL game, I've never experienced anything like that, so I'm interested. Matt with a 50 bomb. Sorry, Matt, I'm just getting to this one. The 50 bomb here. Appreciate that. Says this 50 is for you, Anthony. Donate cause. Yes, Josh. We're booked in Green Bay Casino Sunday night and Monday, and then the seats are section 127, row 14. So sorry for the autocorrect, but 127, row 14. Okay, yeah, I think we're 124. I'm gonna have to double check, but we're very close. We're like, I think 3 sections away. So I know I will see
Thank you very much,
I know I'll see you at the next Zoom call. So I've got email, contact info, and all that, but we'll make sure, like phone and everything, so I could text and link up at the game, because if we're gonna be in the same stadium, obviously. I'm excited. I'm pumped about that. The bucket list item, see Lambeau. It's an away game, so again, like you can't really beat a primetime matchup at the link. But Alex with a 2. What about someone like Gilmore for veteran depth? So going back to this whole corner defensive back comment.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't know. I get it, like a proven player, veteran. He actually played relatively well last season, but like, do you really want a guy like that out there over Kelee Ringo or Adoree Jackson, who's another veteran that's slightly younger? Like, I feel like this is the year where you want to see if Kelee Ringo either has it or doesn't, right? So because going into his 3rd year, not necessarily like hasn't played a ton really. I mean, outside of that final stretch where he showed a little bit, but seemed like Vic Fangio didn't necessarily trust him to be the primary backup cornerback last season ahead of Isaiah Rodgers. So this is kind of his make or break year, because you don't want to be going into the final year of your rookie contract not knowing what a player is. So I would say just give him every chance possible to win the job this year. That's what I think they did with Adoree Jackson, where it's like a veteran that has started, that has played at a relatively high level, but not necessarily going to blow somebody away in a competition. So Kelee Ringo has a chance to win that. It's just a matter of him actually taking advantage of it. And I think just bringing in more and more older veterans, that would just only get in the way of a guy like Kelee Ringo.
Yeah, because we saw the same thing, right? I mean, not the same thing timing wise, but how he said multiple times in various ways, like, okay, we got to get the rookies more snaps, or we got to get the young guys more snaps, see what they are. Whether you believe in Kelee Ringo or you don't, like, we don't necessarily know, like you're mentioning there, unless he's actually getting snaps in game. Because even if we hear, the thing is, we hear reports of like, oh, he looked good in training camp, or even in preseason, she shined a couple times, or AJ Brown has brought him up at least once, I think twice, as far as like, hey, dude has all pro potential. Now again, that's potential, but like he's got the potential. He gives me fits in practice on occasion, so he sees something there. It's just we got to translate that obviously to being on the field in a competitive atmosphere. So, I mean, if you want a good opportunity for him, and this is still an if because there's competition, but it doesn't get much better than, like, hey, week one, Kelee Ringo, good luck. You're going to go up against George Pickens or CeeDee Lamb, depending on where they line up. But you got some good competition week one.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be tested right away if he does win the job. But it's just going to be interesting because last season, obviously, they had basically the best possible outcome with a lot of these younger players, right? I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better performance from Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, even a guy like Nolan Smith that stepped into a bigger role, Jalix Hunt when he finally had an opportunity. Nakobe Dean had like his breakout year. There was just basically every young player that they relied on had a great season. So it's a little bit scary because that, as we know, that isn't always the outcome. Like that's not always how things go. There are plenty of young players that are drafted high that don't pan out. And the Eagles have had their fair share in recent years. But so I don't know if they're getting a little bit too confident and too cocky in their like developmental skills and just throwing young guys out there. So part of me is a little bit nervous with a guy like Kelee Ringo, where essentially two different defensive coordinators haven't really shown a ton of trust in him right away. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like obviously the best case scenario is that he does play well and that the Eagles do have another cheap corner like that starts for the final 2 years of his rookie contract. But at the same time, is lightning going to strike at the third time or fourth time, whatever number this is? So
You never know.
We'll see what happens.
Never know. You can't count it out. And also, I mean, this is not necessarily a Joe Douglas thing, but just in terms of like talent acquisition, scouting, players, things like that. We at least have to mention it because people have seen it now. We haven't publicly discussed it. But Joe Douglas returning to the Eagles. Not a huge surprise. I saw some people that are like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Can't believe it. But for the most part, I mean, I think if we're reading the tea leaves, and you brought this up way back, like I think it was in January, maybe February, but I think it was like in January because he was, or maybe even December because he was at the December game, the Steelers right before the Steelers game in December. So there's all sorts of connections with Joe Douglas and the fact that he gets fired and like all right, well land somewhere. People can knock it, say, all right, he didn't do so well with the Jets, but I mean, who does with Woody Johnson? Like, there's all sorts of areas that you could, give him an hour or excuses. But ultimately, like, he's been pretty good in terms of the scouting. So you put him there. He was previously the VP of player personnel. Now he's going to be, what was the official? Do you remember the official title that they gave him?
They didn't reveal like the official.
Okay,
they just had like
yet.
a senior scouting role. They didn't say anything
okay.
in particular. So they did just lose 2 senior scouts that had like senior college scout or whatever the case was.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he'll go into one of those roles. But I know Zach Berman talked about it of PHLY. He had mentioned that maybe he's a little bit too like above those roles at this point. It might just be some type of like senior consulting, like separate kind of thing. So regardless, the fact is they got Joe Douglas back in the building because he's a guy that they all love. Jeffrey Lurie called it like the biggest addition to when they hired him and like the biggest loss when they lost him. So clearly he's well liked in that building, and he was kind of Howie Roseman's right-hand man before some of these other guys stepped in and had bigger roles. So the fact that they lost 2 notable guys in the front office and now we're able to bring back a guy like Joe Douglas, it'll only help. I know people were like, oh, he didn't have a ton of success in New York, but he hit on a lot of draft picks. It's just they couldn't figure out quarterback. And that's the issue for so many teams in the NFL. It's not just Joe Douglas. So they weren't in the best situation. Obviously, Zach Wilson was a miss, but most of the quarterbacks in that draft class were a miss. So it's not like they missed out on some spectacular quarterback and then Zach Wilson was like their big mistake. Like there really weren't. There was slim pickings that year. So I mean, you can't put a ton of blame on him, but he hit on a lot of other picks that obviously panned out for New York that they're going to have to now pay, even though he's gone. So we'll see what happens. But there's nothing negative that you could say about this situation because it's like when a coordinator goes somewhere and fails as a head coach. Look at Vic Fangio, failed as a head coach, came back and turned the Eagles' defense into the best defense in the league and won a Super Bowl. So sometimes guys just don't pan out in these bigger roles, and they're just better off in a little bit of a slightly lower role.
And, he got, heck, he hit on Bryce Huff. We haven't done that, but, technically, so.
Maybe he'll know what to do with him,
you
right?
give
Somebody.
him some credit, yes, or like we were talking about in the last video. I mean, maybe a trade, work some connections, call up Robert over in San Francisco, be like, yo, he's like, I got you interested in get your boy back over there to San Francisco because we can't use him too much. Howie or Vic is kind of just immune to that. He's like, nah, we're not going to do that. But I think didn't you share? We were texting about this offline, but I mean, it's not a secret, but like Saleh is a big fan of Bryce Huff.
Yeah, when he was in New York, he actually compared him to Mariano Rivera, like the legendary Yankees closer, where he just said, like, you pretty much put him in those, like, pass rushing downs, and he's going to get you a sack or he's going to get a pressure, he's going to get a hit. So he spoke very highly of him. But if you kind of look at, because I feel like we both point to San Francisco and Atlanta now, because those are both the DC, Jeff Ulbrich, that he worked under, and then obviously the head coach, Robert Saleh, is in San Francisco now, too. So those two spots kind of seem like the ideal trading spots if they were going to move on from Bryce Huff, but they also both added an edge rusher relatively high or in the first round of this year's draft. So does that kind of take them out? Like, and even dating back to last year, Atlanta added a couple edge rushers as well. So I don't know if it's going to happen, but I mean, I said for a while now the best case is the Eagles just getting anything that they can out of Bryce Huff because trading him is just such a hard, like, dead cap hit to swallow. But who knows? If they dangle the right pick or if somebody goes down and the team gets desperate, maybe something can happen. But just being a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl, it just doesn't get much worse than that. Like, for tanking your market, his trade value has never been lower than it is right now.
Yeah. Healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. So was Josh Uche, but then the Eagles go out and sign Josh Uche. So, like, I don't know that that's even boding as well for Bryce Huff because it's like, yeah, we're gonna go get this guy, right? And then Azeez Ojulari obviously drafts some guy there. Yeah, we'll see. And Ruben Frank had mentioned this on one of the most recent Eagle Eye podcast, which again, it's not maybe a huge secret. We could kind of all maybe read between the lines, but saying, yeah, Vic just doesn't really, nothing personal, but doesn't like the guy for his system, his scheme. So, it's hard to already do anything if Vic Fangio's in a way kind of writing you off, and we didn't see that from the Super Bowl naturally. But
yeah, you could see as the season was progressing, right? Because they tried. He was like a full-time starter to begin the season, where he was like playing on running downs. Then he showed a little bit of promise, but got hurt. Then he was out. Then he came back and was like just a pass rush specialist, but still wasn't able to capitalize on that. So they were just like, yeah, you don't play special teams. Like, what purpose are you serving for us right now? So it's tough. But with that salary, I just don't know who's going to trade for him.
Yeah, unfortunately, you have to, take a decent amount of it and try to offset. You're not getting much, but you never know. Could trade and at least get a minimal return, or a team that's willing to take a chance and help you out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's not much, or you could even get a cut, as we've said, and you brought up, I think, a couple of times as far as June 1st. After that date, is it reunion with Joe Douglas? Is it one that lasts a long time, or is it a hey, what's up? Oh well, actually, sorry, we're cutting you.
Yeah, it's just either way, post June 1st, pre June 1st, it's not. Like, it would just come down to literally the Eagles just don't want to deal with him anymore. Like, they don't envision them using him. Like, and based on the fact that they signed three free agents that play on the edge, they drafted Antwaun Powell-Ryland. There's just all these signs are pointing to that they don't have any interest in kind of fixing things with Bryce Huff. So I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be tough to watch moving forward. But if they keep Bryce Huff and cut a guy like Antwaun Powell-Ryland, I personally will be very upset because that's my guy. But well, like I said, we got plenty of months before that. We need to make that decision.
There's still time. John said Huff even failed as a water boy. Jeez. And then Remo said Huff just looks depressed, like he doesn't even want to play football. He looks like he wants to retire, which I guess might help the Birds. I don't think he's retiring, but if you were to see that, it was another good point that I think Dave Zangaro brought up on that same podcast. It was just like, it's not the best optics to potentially have a guy like that on the team, right? Because if he is depressed, if he's giving off any of that body language, if he's not all bought in, and again, this is speculation. It's hearsay. So we're not there in practice and seeing it day in and day out. But if you paying a guy $17 million and he's basically not able to see the field, and if there's questions as far as just motivation or what he's given off in terms of the system, then like, okay, that might be something where similarly, hey, look, we've seen them make some moves already that don't just make sense just for the skill set, which that is in severe question, but also for the vibes of the locker room with C.J. Gardner-Johnson getting, shipped off to Houston. So, yeah, I think that there's a couple different ways you could look at it, and it wouldn't be surprising if Huff's not on the roster by week one, or well before then, but by week one.
Yeah, I don't see Bryce Huff kind of embracing the Coach James Bradbury role where he had that phantom injury, or was it a real injury? Who knows? But like, he's kind of taking a back seat and then riding off into the sunset next year, because Bryce Huff is still relatively young. He only signed a 3-year deal, so he wants to kind of capitalize on whatever playing time he does get. So if he's not going to have a role in Philadelphia, I'm sure he's going to pout and kind of be upset. I mean, I don't want to say 100%, but I would too. I would want to be able to actually prove my worth in somewhere that's actually going to utilize me. So maybe that's his way of kind of getting out of Philadelphia. But like I said, it's just going to come down to the Eagles being willing to bite the bullet and eat that enormous dead cap hit.
Big question. Will they? Is it worth it? I know people have debated that back and forth. John with the 10, appreciate that, says probably the home opener as far as the game. The boss will decide, but she was saying we should go to that one. So, yeah, if you can go to that one, John, absolutely. Go to the home opener. I think that's the one that, as far as home games. See Dallas, that's not a bad pick, which speaking of, I should probably spin for that.
I was going to say my second pick would be the Lions, week 11. That's going to be
that's a good
one, too.
Right off of the Packers, which you have us losing to. I'll bring that one up again because we did that for the.
There were some people angry in the comments of that video.
They were. Hey, anytime that somebody says that, right? I even said, I was like, oh, we're going to split with Dallas. And that, it's like, no, you got to be kidding. We're not splitting with Dallas. Like, okay, well,
I said they're going to go 12-5, and people are like, he's a doomer. He's like, what?
12-5 is not good enough. I said 11-6 early on last year, and then I slowly changed my tune to 12-5. That was still not enough, but 11-6, yeah, that was not
last thing,
much belief.
While we're on the win total discussion, another thing that I saw, Zach Berman or Bo Wolf, one of them brought up on PHLY. They had said that, and I didn't realize this, that the Eagles in all 4 years of Nick Sirianni's tenure have actually exceeded their preseason win total, like the over-under win total, every single year. So that's just kind of crazy to think about, right? Like, even the bad season when they won 11 games, when they won 11 games, the line was 10.5, and they won 11 games.
Okay, I was going to say, so what was the win total for that? So 10.5.
That's crazy. So all this guy does, I know people say he's got a stacked roster. We were very quick to bash him last season. I think rightfully so. Plenty of people did. But just like the way he's able to kind of exceed expectations every single time, despite having all these expectations placed on him, it's just kind of crazy. I don't think I think we do take it for granted how good the Eagles have been during his tenure. But yes, go ahead and give those tickets away.
For sure. But even if we can't put a name to it or a description to like what does he do, right? Because like the number of times that I played the Office Space clip of what do you do here, and then Sirianni like him hawing on the interview and like, but like what do you say? Like, what is it exactly that he? And I don't know, but there is he can get through the players. His message gets to the players, even if it falls on deaf ears for us fans sometimes, and certainly in there's moments. But he showed the growth. He evolved. Jalen Hurts gave him a big congrats. Jordan Milada gave him his flowers, metaphorically speaking. But I like how he went back to the whole Sirianni's speech with the flowers and saying, I'm going to give him his flowers. But the players respect him, and that's the biggest thing. I think that he's got the locker room. The players respect him. They stand up for him. They want him there. He's a player's coach, and if nothing else, like, hey, they won the Super Bowl, and he's a large reason for it, and probably more so, like you say, than people give him credit for. So, congrats to him again on that contract extension. Don't know exact details, but very well deserved. Okay, I'm gonna give these away. Got probably a few more minutes. I do need to.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I'll probably need to maybe jump. But we got a little bit more time. But yes, do need to give these away. So good luck to everybody. These are from the past couple videos. So if you entered on those, you got a couple entries. If you did on the past few, I'm gonna spin for this. The odds are that the 318 people probably is not on here. It'd be great if you are. If you're on here and you win this, it'd be fantastic. If not, I will give the person an opportunity for little while to claim these for the tickets, especially since they're such a big deal. So I'll mention it on a couple videos, give them some time. If they don't, though, it'll be just like we did for the Dallas Goedert signed rookie card, and it'll go to somebody on the live stream. So stay tuned. I will keep everyone posted, but good luck. Here we go. Who's it going to be out of the 3,100 comments and multiple videos? It is Sotero A. With the 14-3 is my number. The 14-3 record is what they were going with. Sotero A. It'd be great if you're here on the chat. I don't believe that I've seen your comments, but congratulations. You have won the tickets, assuming that you claim them. So we'll see.
Somebody said Bryce Huff won
odds?
the tickets.
you might need them. Sorry, Bryce. That's too much. But yes, the Philly Special Show at gmail.com. Email me. You won the tickets. 2 tickets. Eagles, Cowboys, home opener. Good for you. As long as I hear from you. So it doesn't have to be in the stream. It'd be great if it is. But like I said, just comment back. I will share multiple videos. I just got to hear from you. And we'll get those transferred over to you. So there we go. A couple more super chats here before we get close to wrapping up, but appreciate you guys. Marcus B with a 10 said with Jordan Mailata's rugby background, this may be an absurd idea, but what do you think of him running the ball for the quarterback sneak like Kraft did for Green Bay against us in the playoffs if the tush push is banned?
So that would be awesome to see. I feel like everybody's been wanting Jordan Mailata to get a carry or a catch since he's arrived in Philadelphia, but I still think that they signed Harrison Bryant for a reason, and they signed him relatively early in free agency. And if you look at how he was utilized in Cleveland, he actually was kind of their quarterback on, I think it was 7 quarterback sneaks, and they converted 6 of those, I believe, and the 7th was like a botch handoff that happened. So I think if they do ban the tush push, they're going to be fine, even just throwing Jalen Hurts out there and converting like they were at an elite rate before. But the fact that Harrison Bryant does have experience doing that, they obviously brought in Ty Robinson, who they brought him in to play defensive lineman, but he does have experience as a fullback. So kind of just a lot of different looks that they can provide. I don't know if you want your franchise left tackle carrying the ball. I mean, he's going to take a beating regardless, but I think you kind of want him being able to push the pile and not carrying the ball. But it would be awesome to see. I just don't know how feasible it actually is.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it'd be fun. I'm all for that. I think the vast majority, but then the logic side comes into play, and I don't necessarily know that we want our left tackle of, hey, kudos again. Fred Johnson spot starts into action as we needed. So who will that person be? I loved, by the way, and I've got this in the upcoming video that'll probably drop here in like an hour or so. So if you want to stay up late and watch that, feel free. But Jordan Mailata talked about Miles Hinton and Cameron Williams. And it sounds like, he's a big fan for one, but they're also pushing him, getting him better. He's going to make life difficult on them, but the culture in itself, I like that because, who knows who ends up being that swing tackle or the backup. But, there's probably not as much of a real sense to let's put our left tackle in there as the the bruiser and then, get him injured needlessly because, we're trying to do something that would be fun. And, hey, even if it's effective, like we got Saquon Barkley, like Jordan Mailata, cool. But I would bet a lot of money that if you ran Saquon Barkley in the exact same formation that you put Jordan Mailata, that Saquon would score more touchdowns than than Milada would. Just for the fact that he's done it would be more than enough. But also, I mean, like, come on, that dude can squat a ridiculous amount, and like, yeah, I'll take the blockers up front. Just give me Saquon.
Also, just since you brought up those two names, Miles Hinton, Cameron Williams, even Holland Pierce, all three of those guys were
Yes.
at that midway point at the Eagles Autism Challenge where they were handing out the waters, and I can confirm all three of them massive human beings. So I mean, we already knew this, but it
In
was
case
just
we didn't know.
I'm like, who is that guy? Who is that? It's just yes, very very big. Oh, Ben Van Sumeren was there too, as well.
Oh,
He was
okay.
another guy at
Yes.
the event, and I see some people talking about the fullback role. So yeah, I think he'll be utilized. It seemed like they were kind of moving in that direction and utilizing him more. And then obviously he suffered the season-ending injury, so change the number, which is going to be good. He doesn't have to report as eligible every time he goes in the field. So I'm not thinking that the Eagles are going to be running an offense primarily out of I formation now or anything like that, but they are going to mix it up a little bit, especially if the tush push is gone.
They at least have their identity. So we'll take that one. Nick with the 2 with the Go Birds. Appreciate that. And then also Joe with the 5. Thank you, sir. Says, thoughts on PFF's top players list under 25, not including Jalen Carter in the top 10 or 15. Feels like it's beyond disrespectful, flawed. So many haters. I think you responded to that one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and it's very similar to the reason why agents and writers and reporters include the Eagles in reports for like trade interest and things like that. Whenever the Eagles are mentioned or not mentioned, it's always going to drive impressions and interactions and things like that on social media or videos or things. So PFF knew damn well what they were doing when they purposely left off one of their highest graded defensive linemen by not having Jalen Carter on that list. They knew the Eagles fans and they were going to go crazy, and they know how wild they are on social media in a good way. So they knew what was going to happen with that. That's why you see so many replies to that tweet and literally saying, why isn't Jalen Carter or Cooper DeJean or Quinyon Mitchell, whoever you want to put on there. So they knew what they were doing. It's just, unfortunately, we all feed into it, and that's just the nature of fandom, right?
That it is, yes. But you're right. I saw the same thing. And the knee-jerk reaction was almost like, what the heck? But then I was like, no, it's not even worth responding to. But it is effective because it got a lot of comments. It got lots of haters on it. And people, wondering like, what the heck? You got to be kidding me. How do you forget these players? But the game speaks for itself. The players speak for themselves. So even if some of the guys don't get the credit that they deserve by other ratings or, engagement, people posting bait out there, we know. We realize. It's pretty easy to tell. Now, we may be biased, but, I mean, come on. Like, there's some obvious
We might still
ones.
fall for it, but we know that
We
it's
might,
fake.
but we know. We know deep down in our hearts. Even if we post that tweet or that response, we do know. So, okay. I do think that I need to run now. Appreciate you guys, as always. Anthony, this was a blast. We do have some exciting news. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to say anything beyond that. We've got some exciting news to share very soon. So stay tuned for that. We'll just leave it with that tease. So
excited.
Thank you guys.
So excited.
So Taro A, congratulations. You have won. And then also for the giveaway, we'll wait for the Dallas Goedert signed card. So for that one also that we spun earlier. We've got that as soon as we hear from Christian. Or maybe Christian, you've already responded. We just haven't responded yet because we're on the live stream. So if you're good. But stay tuned for that video. Probably dropping in the next hour or so. So again, if you're staying up late, should be out. Otherwise, we'll see you guys soon. As always, go Birds.